Welcome to Horrors Yet Unseen, the podcast where we assign each other horror movies to watch and then talk about it so our spouses don't have to listen to us go on and on and on about scary stuff they don't like. I'm Zach.
And I'm Steve. Let's talk about some scary movies. By the way, there will absolutely be spoilers in this show. You have been warned.
Yeah, so I got a couple topics here right off the bat. Just some news. Like, I found out that I don't know whether they're the comic creators or the publishers or what, of Tales from the Crypt. Like, the comic series are coming back with new horror comics.
Oh.
It's like it's a 70-year hiatus that they're coming back from or something like that. Yeah. And I got the article. It says nearly 70 years after EC Comics met its premature end. So not hiatus. They died.
Okay.
Yeah. The company is returning as an imprint of Oni Press. Okay. And they're going to be coming out with, it says the first two EC comics that they're going to be coming out with. One launches in July and the other launches in August. So I will 100% be heading over to my local comic book store.
Yeah, I wasn't aware that they had comics of the, I'm sorry, what was it?
Tales from the Crypt?
Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah.
I know they have comics of Tales of the Crypt.
I think that's how it started. Like the 90s HBO series was from comics called Tales from the Crypt.
Can I tell you something? You're just gonna blow your mind.
Great.
Never seen a Tales from the Crypt anything.
What?
Yeah. Dude,
I own like seasons 1 through 5 on DVD.
Oh, really?
Well, I go to the exchange to get them because I couldn't find them new at the time. And I didn't really do digging like crazy. And so meaning I didn't Google. I was just like, oh, I have an exchange in town. I'll see if they have exchange. You guys don't have exchange out there? What?
No, it's like a store?
Yeah, so the exchange is a store where you can buy, sell, and trade in like DVDs, Blu-rays, Funko Pops. They sell comic books, like old comic books. They sell old gaming consoles, new gaming consoles. They have walls of games from like Game Boy and Xbox and all sorts of stuff. And
we do have a place like that.
I bought, season 1 for like $5 and season 2 for like $10.
Wow.
And I put them on my October list every year. So at least like a couple episodes. Basically, I'm just going through like the IMDb sorted list. So I grab all of the IMDb episodes and then sort them by rating. So I'm just going down through,
So is Tales from the Crypt like an anthology thing? Like like a scarier version of the Twilight Zone sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, and by scarier, let's use that term with air quotes, because it's more just kitschy and comical and over the top and ridiculous. It's not meant to be like uber scary, but it really, it is like an anthology Twilight Zone, So
Christy has mentioned that when she was a kid, she went to one of her friends' house and they would watch like Tales from the Crypt, I guess. Yeah. I just remember that like that skeleton puppet thing.
Yeah, the Crypt Keeper.
Yeah, there you go. Crypt
Keeper. Yeah, that was actually like my first two real like seared in my memory scares
Mm-hmm.
were watching Tales from the Crypt episodes growing up. And by watching, I mean like I was peeping around the corner because I was supposed to be in bed and mom and dad were watching or whatever. And we were over at our neighbor's house, or I was over at our neighbor's house, and they were watching Trolls 2.
Oh,
Yeah, like the movie that's supposed to be really, really bad.
Trolls
And
2.
yeah, you've never heard of this?
I mean, I've heard of like the new trolls, like with
Oh,
little
no, no,
fuzzy
no.
hair.
No, no, no. These are Poppy and no, no, no. This is not that. This is bad, dude. You should IMDb Trolls 2, 1990. Yep. It terrified me.
Really?
Now, I recently watched it and
Oh,
was like,
Troll 2, not Trolls. That's
yeah,
what.
sorry, Troll. Sorry. Yeah,
Okay,
that
okay.
might have been it. Anyway,
Go ahead.
1990, little sweet Zach is watching something he shouldn't be watching, and the world hasn't hurt this kid yet, and he got a little scared, you know.
Yeah.
Now I'm so desensitized. I'm like, what is this?
Wow. It doesn't have massively good ratings, but
Oh no, it's a garbage movie. Like it's real bad. And it's the second one. Like they made a bad movie called Troll. And then they were like, "Hey, let's make a second one cuz the first one did so well."
it's kind of like you said the other like a week or two ago. We were talking about, and I mentioned that I'd seen the Species
Yeah.
1, 2, and 3, and you're like, I can't believe that Species 3 would be worse than Species 2 and 1.
Yeah, of course.
Shocker!
Shocker. Exactly. Yeah. I still haven't seen Species. I need to. It's on my list to watch. I want to go. I like you kind of want to go through the series, which is why like I've seen every Saw movie is because I'm like I know they're crap. I know that I'm going to have a
Mm-hmm.
pretty negative opinion about Saw 93, but I have to watch it because I watched Saw 92. Like I'm gonna have to do it. So I'm gonna if I start. I shouldn't say that I'm fully addicted like that because I watched this past October. I watched the movie Subspecies,
Yeah.
and I barely made it through that. Like it was so bad. But that's one that has, you know, a couple different sequels. And unlike Hellraiser, I did watch the first and the second Hellraiser, and they're both equally trash.
Yeah. Have you
I
seen
will
the
keep
new
going
one?
though. Oh, the new one on Hulu?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the bomb.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, so you said we had a lot to talk about today.
Yeah, it's because you watch two movies and I want to know what you think of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which two?
Thanksgiving and Happy
Right?
Death Day to you.
Right. Oh.
I got to know.
Okay, so I watched Thanksgiving.
Yep.
And I'm sorry. My apologies. I did not know that was one on your list for possibly giving to me to watch. So
Yeah.
I will endeavor to.
Yeah. Yeah. You
Check
mean to
my
tell me
list
that
for-
you didn't know what my secret list was holding for you? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Figure it out, Steve.
Well, next time I'll check the letterbox if you've seen it and I haven't, and it looks decent. I'll maybe hold off.
Got it.
It's not like there's a shortage of horror movies to watch or any other kind of movies. You know?
Or you could do what you want because this is America and just watch it and it doesn't matter to me.
Well,
I
we
will
live in
give you a
America,
little bit
but-
of a hard time though.
we live in America, but this is the land of the podcast and rules. You know, I don't want to mess with the rules.
This isn't a horror movie. This isn't like Scream, and we're not gonna like name the rules, and if you break them, then you're gonna die.
Okay.
Also, knock on wood a little bit.
So I watched Thanksgiving. Just because it popped up on Netflix, and I'm like, I remember Zach saying that was a good one,
Mm-hmm.
and it was actually pretty fun. It was a entertaining watch. It
Yeah.
really was. And I remember you mentioned in a podcast earlier that you weren't sure how they were going to make a second one.
Mm.
And spoiler alert, the guy at the end, the killer guy,
Yep.
you're not sure he's dead.
Right.
Because they even pointed out, couldn't find the body. He must have just destroyed the body, the heat of the fire or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a good, like a mystery slasher thing.
Yeah.
And those are fun. It's very similar to Scream, you know? This could have been, in some ways, it could have been Scream at Thanksgiving sort of thing.
Right.
But it was a lot gorier than Scream movies tend to be.
Right. Like the person being cut in half by the dumpster.
That was pretty gross.
Yeah. Completely implausible, by the way. That
Right.
I pushed the pause button when it happened, and I was like, no,
Yeah.
no. And then I immediately said, knock it off.
Yeah.
Just enjoy the movie.
Yeah. And then the kids who fell on the bands or the table saw.
Yep.
That was pretty gross.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, I think I may have written this down, but I I could I can handle a lot with the gory stuff
Mm-hmm.
because I'm like, I kind of get in the mode of special effects Steve or special effects curious Steve. And I've always loved special effects and how they do stuff. Ever since I remember my dad. I think he rented this. I'm not sure if he rented this or if it was. I don't know. My dad's always really loved how they made it stuff. Remember we watched the Raiders of the Lost Ark behind the scenes
Mm-hmm.
and Star Wars behind the scenes stuff as a kid, and that got me hooked. Anyway, I can handle a lot of that kind of stuff because I'm half the time I'm trying to figure out how they made it.
Right.
But the I could really have done without baking the mom like a turkey.
Yeah.
Oh boy, that was
brutal.
that was brutal.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about that. I just ugh.
Yeah, they definitely Peking ducked her. Like it was straight up.
Yeah.
And what was crazy is like, I'm like, oh, she'll be fine. Somebody's gonna save her. Everything's fine. Nope, she's on the dinner table in the next scene, and I was like, holy smokes, that's crazy. Because I was fine with her in the oven. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Which, by the way, can we just acknowledge the lunacy of that sentence that I just said? I was fine with her in the oven. Okay, I'm gonna go talk to my therapist about that. But
I'll pause the podcast. You come back.
I need to have a conversation with my therapist. But it was when she was on the table that I was like, oh dang, and they were carving her up.
Mm-hmm. Oh. I was. I'll almost say what you said, but I was fine with her in the oven while I thought she was going to still get out. Is that what you're kind of getting at?
Yeah, that's exactly where I was. Because again, I was going along the lines of, there's no way that it's too outlandish of a death.
Yeah.
For her not to get saved. Like small things like, what are the corn holders in the ears? I was like, oh, that's a small kind of like toying with somebody.
That hurt me.
Yeah. But that one being in the oven was so big that I was like, okay. As soon as she was on the table, though, I went, well, they needed a turkey. I mean, come on. There was
makes sense.
It makes complete sense.
They could have got a turkey.
What is Thanksgiving without a turkey?
Yeah, and what is Thanksgiving, a horror movie, without every single aspect of the meal being an actual person?
Right. Come on.
But it was fun. I liked the mystery of it. They had me going. I think had I watched it with Christy, she would have guessed who it was way ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's got this freakish talent to be able to tell so early on who done it. or whatever the twist at the end is, 80% of the time she's right.
Mm.
And so, as a family, we've had to put a moratorium on her speaking about the movie while we're watching the movie, because she used to just be watching. She's like, "Oh, I know he did. Oh, yeah, of course he did it." Or like, what? We're 20 minutes into the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, that's you just you learn, I think you learn very quickly with people like that. That
Yeah, yeah,
there's just a special place for them, and if you're going to watch a movie with them, duct tape comes in handy.
right.
Duct tape over the mouth just comes in handy.
She's very kind and doesn't do that anymore. She
That's
she always
good.
does she always does this thing. She's like, "Oh," when she puts her hand over her mouth. I'm like,
Yep.
okay, just I get it. You know.
That means she figured it out. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, good movie. Sufficiently gross for a horror slasher,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they could do something interesting with the second one. I kind of want the girl's new boyfriend. I kind of want him to die because he's just such a douchebag. The
Okay.
taller guy.
Yeah.
It's just so maybe they'll kill him off. Ooh, or maybe he's the killer for the next one.
Mm.
Ooh. Mm.
Yeah, I have absolutely no clue where they would go with that one. I don't know. It Thanksgiving was one of those movies that I thought there should just be one of them, you know. And we
Mm-hmm.
can that's one of those maybe a bonus episode that we could do at some point, is talking about movies that should have maybe stopped at one, or movies that stopped at one that should have gone into
That'd
two.
be good. Mm-hmm.
My personal opinion is that any movie studio that makes a decision to greenlight a second film before a script is written based on box office of the first one, that second film probably not going to be great. I have no evidence to support that. It is a hypothesis, but I just don't know where they would go with the story. Eli could completely surprise me
Yeah.
with what he's going to do. But I was actually not entirely looking forward to Thanksgiving because of Eli Roth. Like the
What
last
else has he done?
Eli Roth movie I watched, and watched is also in quotes because I barely got through that movie, if at all, was The Green Inferno. That was a horrible movie, um, on par with The Terrifier.
Oh, he did
And
Hostel too.
yes, yeah. So Eli
And
doesn't have Eli, in my opinion, Eli doesn't have the best track record for non-completely gross horror movies,
huh?
because he made the Hostel movies, and The Green Inferno was supposed to be, I guess, some sort of maybe remake or reimagining of, or whatever, of what, Cannibal Holocaust.
Oh, really?
Um, yeah, and Cannibal Holocaust is a banned movie, or did get banned. Um,
Yeah.
at least before the internet. And so,
Yeah, it's on
yeah,
Peacock right now.
it's freaking gross.
I refuse to watch it because
You should definitely stay away from it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Ugh.
it's gross. And so when he was going to come out with Thanksgiving, I was like, oh crap. I'm my curiosity's peaked, but this better not be freaking gross. And I think the grossest part was probably what? The person getting cut in half, because you
Yeah.
saw like their guts falling out. Like that was real, but that was probably completely CGI, and I was fine with it. But it wasn't some witch doctor scooping out somebody's eyeball and then eating it, like in The Green Inferno.
Uh,
That's freaking
oh,
gross. It's gross, and
yeah.
yeah, it's too much. It's too much.
Hmm.
That's why I said in that bonus episode that's gonna air, or probably has already aired by this point. Um, I feel like the purpose of those types of movies is to show how demented the writers can be. It's not to
Mm-hmm.
entertain us. It's to show us how sick and twisted we can come up with a kill scene.
Yeah, I still
And
can't figure out like what is the value of those?
that's my point.
I can't.
There is no entertainment. Movies and TV are supposed to be vehicles for entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, if at all you are not entertained, then I don't know what the purpose of that movie is. And that includes, but is not limited to, like Manos in the Hands of Fate. Have you seen that movie?
No, never heard of
You
it.
should watch it, but also watch it with Mystery Science Theater people talking about it because it's way more palatable. Anytime you get to dub over a movie with, I believe it's called Riff Tracks, Rifftrax, Riff Tracks,
Okay.
do it. You can go like I think it's like rifftracks.com. And, but we watched Manos in the Hands of Fate with Riff Tracks over top of it. And Manos in the Hands of Fate is a B movie that is terrible. So
Oh, so
I
Rift Tracks is you go and watch the movie and somebody else has already done the MST3K style thing.
I think it's the guys from Mystery Science Theater,
Oh, I see. Gotcha.
or at least one of them that,
Oh, okay. I could totally get into this. Yes,
like,
I'm
when Mystery
bookmarking
Science
this.
Theater like was done, they did Riff Tracks, and so you can buy the. I don't know that they make, because of licensing. Probably they just sell the Riff Tracks audio, but you can sync it up with the movie and
Oh,
listen to them as you watch the movie. Listen to them rail it on the movie, and it's hilarious. So
cool.
I think
Totally gonna look into
I've
that.
seen Independence Day. They did Independence Day Riff Tracks. That was hilarious. And yeah, but again, I don't know what, if it's not entertaining, then to the general audience at least, then I don't know what the purpose is. And I don't
Yeah.
know who is the general target audience for the Green Inferno, Hostel, the Terrifier. Like, who are these people? Who is this mass amount of people that would, quote unquote, be entertained by that type of thing? And anyway,
Boy, yeah.
I could keep rambling on and on and on about that. Anyway, Happy Death Day to you.
Yeah.
How
Happy
was
Death Day
that?
to You was awesome. That was so good.
Yeah.
And I, my wife actually, she's like, "Can we watch like the second part of that?" And I'm like, "Okay,
There you go.
done." So we rented it last night and watched it, and it was great. They I did not know where they were going to go with that, and it kind of turned it in from a horror movie. The first was kind of like horror comedy, and the second was kind of sci-fi comedy, really, in a way. I mean, not the you don't have to make a distinction, I guess, but the story was great. I thought it had a lot more heart than the first
Yeah.
one in a different, in an interesting way. Like, there was more. I mean, in the first one, she was sad about her mom dying,
Mm-hmm.
but in the second one, she had to make a choice to live with that or not. You know,
Right.
and same thing with the guy. Not that I'm always. It was good. They did a good job of having her choose the multiverse universe
Mm-hmm.
where she belongs, partly for the guy, but not just because of the guy. And I hate the trope of woman gives up her entire life for the guy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't that. It wasn't cheap and dumb like that. It was actually I thought it was a believable and it was a good, I don't know, it was a good choice in the movie. But it was great. It had a lot more characters, more people involved. It was really
Mm-hmm.
fun. And they do you see the after credit scene
Nope.
where the head of the sorority gets put into a time loop?
I did not see that. Nope.
Oh, I'll see if I can find it on. You can see if you can find it on YouTube or something. But
Right.
like at the end of the credits, they go to the DARPA.
Right. They take that machine, right? The government takes
Right,
the machine, right?
right, and they're trying to figure out. They want to test it out, and they want to test it on somebody. And Tree is like, "Ooh, I know the perfect person to test it to put through this again."
Mm.
And it's and the head of the sorority wakes up screaming like, "No!"
Wow.
So left it open for a 3, but I don't know.
Yeah, I was just looking that up because I think I read somewhere that there was going to be a Happy Death Day to Us,
Huh?
but I don't know that number 3 is going to happen. But maybe that's okay.
Yeah, but it's one of those that, do you want it to happen? You know,
Part of me in this sense, part of me does want to continue the story, but I don't know where they would go. So
right?
because I don't know what direction they would move in
Yeah, and I
after
didn't know.
telling the almost a very similar story twice.
Right?
Like, or maybe I shouldn't say telling the same story twice. If you look at it as one movie,
It kind of
part
is.
one and part two ish, then it's a part two is a good continuation of the story.
Right.
Where they would go in part three, not necessarily too sure. So maybe we're just done with the second one.
Could be. Yeah. That's fine.
Yeah. It's still a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did hear that they were gonna make a third babysitter movie, though I don't know
Oh, really?
what the heck they're gonna do with that.
Make money, hopefully.
Yeah, I'll watch it. They'll make my money. You know.
Did you watch any movies this week?
This week, let's see. I started to rewatch Dread,
Oh, I haven't seen
the
it.
the Judge Dredd movie with
Mm-hmm.
Carl Urban. It's on
Okay.
Netflix. You should watch it. It's fantastic.
Okay.
Judge Dredd was one of those comics that I really like. I think I have a couple Judge Dredd versus Mars Attacks. So, because
Oh.
Mars Attacks is also a fantastic
Mm-hmm.
film, and I wish that they would make more because the first one, I mean, it had Tom Jones in it. Come on, it's got Tom Jones in it. It's
So
got it's got Jim Brown in it. It's got Tom Jones in it. It has like the cast. It has Pierce Brosnan is in this movie.
is he?
You've never seen Mars Attacks,
I've seen like clips.
dude? You have
All
to
right,
watch
I'll
Mars
have to
Attacks.
listen.
I think Sarah Jessica Parker's in the movie. It's a pretty star-studded cast
Wow.
for a completely stupid movie, but completely stupid movie is my middle name. So it's a really long middle name. I've had to deal with it all my life. I don't think that I.
So you saw Dread and what else?
So Casey and I are going through Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh, nice.
I have gone through almost. I don't think I've watched the final season. I think I just got too depressed it was ending to
Oh,
watch the final season. But we started to kind of watch it, and Casey was into it, and I was like, "Yeah, let's go. Let's just keep going." I think we got
yeah.
through the end of New Girl, and we were like, "All right,
Okay.
now what do you want to watch?" We've seen The Office 37,000 times. We've seen Friends 37,000 times. Now we've gone through the New Girl the 37,000th time. So now what? Now what do you want to watch? And
Yeah.
like let's go through Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Let's do that. Also, Captain Holt passed away.
Oh, I know.
So R.I.P. Captain Holt.
Yep.
And incredible actor.
Legend.
Yeah. So that's I think the only movie that I watched though was Dread.
I took some time off this week
Mm-hmm.
and just sat around and watched movies and stuff. So I ended up watching. Oh, it's kind of embarrassing now that I'm looking at Jennifer's Body.
Mm.
It's a rewatch. I've seen that before.
Yep.
Attachment. From Beyond. Possession. Suitable Flesh. And Thanksgiving. And Happy Death Day to You. And the movie that you wanted me to watch. But yeah. I'll tell you all about those other movies at some point. But
Fantastic. Let's segue then
yeah,
right into it.
I have feelings about this movie, Zach.
Tell me what they are, Steve.
The movie being There's Something Wrong with the Children. I think the actual title of this movie should be There's Something Wrong with the Parents.
Yep.
Or the adults in general.
Mm-hmm.
Because, oh boy, this movie.
Yep.
So I can't tell if I liked it or not. You know?
We're on the same page so far.
Okay, so the synopsis on Letterboxd. Margaret and Ben take a weekend trip with two longtime friends and their two young children. Ben soon suspects something sinister is afoot when the kids start behaving strangely after disappearing into the woods overnight. I would posit that the children were acting strangely from the moment we started seeing the children.
Yeah, definitely.
Like they take a walk, they take a sort of like a walk / hike to this old fort with everybody, and the son, there's two kids, the son and daughter. He's maybe 10, she's maybe 13-ish, and he finds a nest of dead baby birds, and he's all excited about it. And then the girl sees the mom dead on the ground and starts kicking the dead bird and stomping on it. I'm like, what is it? Yeah. What is wrong?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And then you have the whole weird. Anyway, so first off, I'm kind of a sucker for anything with Zach Gilford in it. He's played Ben.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I have such fond memories of him, and I have such good vibes from him. Not fond memories, but from him being in Midnight Mass, mm-hmm. and some of the other Mike Flanagan stuff, because he's a Mike Flanagan regular, mm-hmm. and I really like him. And he doesn't always appear in the best stuff besides Mike Flanagan things, but he's just so freaking likable. Something about the guy. Anyway, that aside, so I will say right off the bat, the intro scene of the movie, like the intro credits, made me want to turn it off. Because
already,
it's like I can imagine that. I just told Chrissy watched the beginning of this with me until some of the gross, scary stuff started, and she's like, "I'm done." But we were joking together, like, what? We can imagine the production meeting for the intro.
Yeah,
something like, what should we do for the incredibly important mood-setting opening credits scene? I know. The two kids from the movie can randomly run around for no reason, and we can put it in a green filter on everything, so it's just green. Oh, and I know. I'll have music by my cousin's neo-80s band.
Yeah.
And the music is ridiculously bad in this, Zach.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
The vibe is overtly 80s for kind of no real reason.
Yes.
Like there is no through line. There is no connective tissue between the soundtrack of the movie and the script of the movie. It's like the director was like, "Oh, I want to make this movie of this script. It's going to be whatever it's going to be. It's going to be great. I think it's going to be awesome." But I also am mentally, musically stuck in the 80s. So how do I take some royalty-free 80s, like really bad 80s music, and also tie it to this movie? And after trying to figure out how to connect it, he was like, screw it, let's just run with it. Like that it seems completely arbitrary to me.
Have you ever seen the movie Lady Hawk?
No.
Okay. What's the guy whose name who plays in Ferris Bueller's Day Off? Ferris Bueller?
Oh my gosh.
Matthew Broderick.
Matthew Broderick, yes.
Matthew Broderick stars in it. It takes place, it's from 1986. It takes place in the like medieval times, like 1400s or whatever.
What?
And it's like one of my favorite movies from as a child. It was just like amazing, this fantasy.
What is this poster?
I highly recommend you got to watch the movie at least once, just because it's a fun story.
Great.
Anyway, and it's funny. I mean, Matthew Broderick is hilarious. He's so funny in this. But it takes place in the medieval times with the swords and the knights and stuff. But the soundtrack is directly out of 80s dance clubs. It's like the got the synthesizers going on.
Yeah.
And that's how I felt with this movie, because it's like starting to set this vibe of scary, and it sounds like an 80s soundtrack. It's so bad. Anyway, I digress even further.
That's fine.
So there's two families. One couple has no kids. One couple has kids. And each couple has massive problems in their lives. Ben, the main guy, he has he's had some mental problems, schizophrenia or something. He's on heavy medication for it.
Mm-hmm.
But they're doing good. And the other couple is recovering, trying to recover from a badly timed, or the bad choice of having like a threesome or something, a foursome with.
I think that's basically it.
What
Yeah,
the
they
heck?
had a foursome with another couple, and she enjoyed herself and he didn't. It was really bad. Yeah.
Yeah, and so she tells her friend, and it's like, okay, so many problems in this, and they don't stop drinking. The parents
No,
don't stop drinking,
not even
which,
a little bit.
enjoy your adult beverages all you'd like, but if you're going to go on a weekend getaway to the wilderness in cabins, if you're going to drink all the time, don't bring your kids.
Well,
I mean, because they're gonna do something like jump into a pit.
right, right.
So yeah, they go on this hike, and this fort, which I looked up, and it's actually like Fort Macomb in Louisiana. They go there, and there's this creepy pit. The kids somehow immediately get possessed or something just by being there. And it didn't make any sense. And their noses start bleeding. It's like, ooh, their noses are bleeding. Whoa, they're possessed. And it was such a low budget movie. I see why they were like what they're doing, but
Yeah.
anyway. So then the kids start acting weirder, and they go back to the place. The kidless couple offers to watch the kids for the night as the parents of the kids go back to their cabin to rekindle their love or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they put the kids to bed and immediately get high.
Yep.
On weed.
Yep.
And then they wake up late and the kids are gone. What are the kids?
Dun, dun, dun. Exactly.
And so they like run around and find the kids, and then Ben goes to the fort thinking they're there, and they are, and they look at him, and he's like, get back from the ledge of this pit. And they just say something in Spanish to him, and they jump in.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks down there and he sees their bodies. He later says like their crumpled bodies at the bottom or whatever. And he's like beside himself with like, he feels horrible. And finally he calls his wife and it's like, but he was going to confess that he screwed up. Kids are dead. And she's like, oh, here they are. And they come running out of the cabin. And so nobody knows what's going on. He thinks he's kind of going crazy. The kids continue to make him, like, they're totally gaslighting this guy.
Yep.
And to make him go crazy, and having had his problems in the past, he's thinking that he is actually going crazy again. The kids are like talking to each other in like this clicky language. And they're like, oh, it's just our secret language. And acting so weird all the time. Finally, he snaps, yells at one of the kids, and the parents get mad, and he brings up the foursome thing. Now everybody's mad at everybody, and they're all screaming at each other. The husband and wife, everybody, all four adults, and the kids are just sitting there like gleefully, like watching their destruction.
Yep.
Then the kids are honestly doing a pretty good job acting, I thought. They both have really good, I am possessed by an evil bug person looks. And the acting's actually not too bad in the movie. So that's a plus. But anyway, there's an altercation. The kids make it look like Ben has killed the boy. Mom and dad freak out, call the cops. Meantime, the daughter takes the dad to the woods. Like, let me show you something, Dad. And she apparently kills him. And then the son wakes up and kills the mom. And then the other woman walks in to find all this stuff. And then the police show up and they kill the police woman.
Mm-hmm.
It's like everybody's dying.
Yep.
And then Ben finally shows up because he's been moping at the pit for the whole time. He shows up. He's clearly a bug person. And I didn't mention this, but along the way, you start getting the vibe that the whole time these kids are secretly shape-shifting bugs or something. You never see this, but you do see them in shadow.
Yeah.
Giant praying mantises or something. And
which, let's stop for just a second to acknowledge what you just said. Let's not discard that sentence. Like, you don't know that until you think the kids are just possessed or the kids are being ornery or whatever they're being until the third act when they start killing everybody and then they start shape-shifting into bugs.
Right.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's very subtle and it's never really said and you don't see it. It's just in shadow.
Right.
But
the clicking makes sense now.
Right. The clicking makes sense now. And he comes back and he's acting bizarre. Gets in a fight with his wife. She machetes him in the shoulder.
Yeah.
And then he knocks her out. She wakes up by the pit. And they're tossing the mom in the pit, the dead mom. They're tossing the dead cop in the pit. They're about to toss her in the pit. She wakes up and runs off. And she pushes the kids in.
Right.
So she's going to run away. She's in the truck. She's about to pull out. Ben shows up and she'd like to stop her. Then the husband that we thought was dead, the dad, shows up, fights Ben off. She takes off in the car. She's crying. She pauses by the side of the road. It's just so horrible situation. Lost everybody. And then Ben and the two kids walk onto the road, inexplicably standing in the middle of the road.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing? And then she runs them over. And right before it hits, title screen.
Yep.
In Stranger Things font.
Mm-hmm.
But in green for some reason.
Yep. 80s.
I guess the pit was kind of green. Yeah, 80s. And there's something wrong with the children. End of movie. So the reason I said I don't know if I like this or not, because there's so many bad things about this movie. The music, the inexplicable nature of things, just a lot of weirdness about it. But they do I feel like they did a good job of taking you on the journey of things and making it feel creepy at times. It was a good good fight scene with the final girl, Margaret, the survivor. But I don't know. It's almost like in a slightly just a few universes away from us, like maybe 3 or 4 on the parallel universes.
Just
3 or 4 universes away, it would have been a masterpiece.
Yeah, not 2 though.
No,
3 or 4. Yeah,
3 or 4.
So
I think I give this a probably 3-star, maybe 2.5.
Middle of the road.
Yeah, it's middle of the road. It's it was fun. I did watch it twice to make sure I didn't miss anything and all that kind of stuff. And it was fine to watch again. It was not painful. It was the first time was interesting. The second time was a little more fun, just because kind of the MST3K aspect of things.
Yeah.
But it was scary enough to make my wife not want to watch it. I think her exact words were, "Giant bugs? Nope, I'm done."
So she made it to the bug part?
She was kind of in and out. She was kind of reading a book on her phone or something. So she's trying to be interested in the things I'm interested in, which bless her heart, she shouldn't try that hard when it comes to some of this stuff. That's as far as she made it. So what did you think of it? You middle of the road too?
I don't know, what did I rate this movie on Letterboxd? There's something wrong with the children. I rated this movie 3 stars. Yeah.
Okay.
Everything that you said as far as the critiques of the movie, I could not have said better. I thought that this movie was going to be one thing, and I could not believe how not I couldn't believe not only was it not what I thought. I couldn't believe that there were aspects of I don't even know how to say it. I don't even know how to say this.
Well,
There were
start.
aspects
Where
of
did you
this
think it was
movie.
going to go?
Okay, first off, I thought it was going to be way scarier.
Okay.
I thought that this was going to be more of a serious movie.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I didn't know that it was going to be more on the fun aspect of the horror movie spectrum
Uh-huh.
rather than the more mid to serious area.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that that's where I thought it was going to go. And then you there's something wrong with the kids. There's something wrong with the children. Possession. Like, I don't
Right.
think they're gonna be bugs. You
I thought it
know?
was going to be straight possessed.
Like, I just thought, okay, well, at some point, the kids are gonna mess with something. Like, this is gonna be the same kind of thing. The kids are gonna mess with something that they shouldn't mess with, and then they're gonna start taking out the parents one at a time, and blah, blah, blah. But it's gonna be more serious, and then, yeah, I didn't think, oh, they're gonna go to a pit, and there's some sort of bug-ish green creature light down
Yeah,
in the
that's never
bottom of this
explained.
pit. It's never explained. That literally just by looking at it is going to cause you to become like, I don't know. Maybe they didn't become bugs until they jumped in. Maybe they just
That's possible.
like I think that might be the point is there was some sort of attraction
Mm-hmm.
to that hole,
Right.
to that entity.
Right
It
away, they're
was
saying they were referring to it as the shining place or whatever.
right. There was this brilliance to it that was drawing them in, quote
Mm-hmm.
unquote, like a bug to a light, right?
Whoa. I
So
didn't catch that.
I know, but so and then that caused the kids to jump in and basically commit suicide.
Mm-hmm.
And then the bug embodied the children.
Yeah.
And so that's why they were feeding
Right.
the dead people,
Mm-hmm.
the police officer, the mom at the end to this bug thing because they wanted to replicate.
Right.
And so, but I didn't think it was going to go that direction. Again, I thought that it was not going to be a fun-ish horror movie. I would even loosely call this a horror movie. I don't think that this is. Now, I don't know. This
Really.
is. I
See,
wouldn't call it a horror movie.
I'm caught on you calling it fun-ish.
Okay, so I don't even have any examples. The Witch, the movie that you asked me to watch, the movie that you assigned to me, is a
Mm-hmm.
more serious kind of
Yeah.
darker horror movie.
Okay. So
But
by fun, it's not like comedy or
yeah, I
it's
mean,
not lighthearted, but
yeah, it's hard to nail down. I don't have the vocabulary. Outside
gotcha.
of this movie had some more goofy aspects to
Okay.
it. This movie reminded me very much of The Color Out of Space.
Mm.
Okay, it's more loony. It's not The Color Out of Space, that is in a genre of its own. And that genre is a Nick Cage film. That's the subgenre of film that this movie is. The Color Out of Space is a Nick Cage horror movie. It is wackadoo. It is Looney Tunes. It is over the top too much. Yeah, I don't have the vocabulary. I don't have the vocabulary to explain what I thought that this movie was going to be. I just know that there were so many times during during this movie that I did not expect it to go where it went.
Yeah.
You know, the gaslighting thing made complete sense to me in the nature of the movie. But when we saw bug shadows, I was like, time out. What?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Right.
When the kids jumped into the pit, I was like, hold on. What is this pit and why is it killing people? And we need an explanation right now. And then when the dad showed up at the end to fight off Ben, I was like, that made complete sense because we don't really know that he died. We just assume that he died. So it's a red herring. That makes complete sense. But I don't know. This movie was weird. It was weird. It wasn't bad. It wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen. But it wasn't. It just wasn't what I thought it was going to be. So I gave it 3 stars because, and then just proverbially put the movie back on the shelf and was like, you can sit there. I don't want to watch you again. I have too many questions. I don't have any answers. And I am frustrated that I don't have those answers.
Fair.
Yeah. And I don't want a second one. I just want director commentary.
Please no.
That's what I want. I want to rewatch it with director commentary to find out what what was this person thinking?
Yeah, I don't know.
That took way too long for me to explain all of that. Way too long. I tried to grab at so many straws there, but I don't have the right words to describe all of that. So again, feel free to cut out any of that explanation.
Okay.
Because I don't know.
So
I'm glad that you had, though, to say this, I am glad that we had a similar reaction to the movie. That's part of the reason why I assigned it to you. The other part was because it was kind of a weirder, stranger kind of horror movie. Yeah. I'm glad we had the same reaction.
Yeah.
2.3 though. It has a 2.3 star rating on Letterboxd, which means that we were more generous than the majority of the people.
Yeah. Slightly below average out of 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, next. Which movie did I assign you?
The Vavitch.
The Vavitch.
Yes.
Just for those listening, you will not be able to find this movie if you actually search for The Vavitch. It's actually The Witch, but the poster has 2 V's.
Yes, because it is an old England or a quote unquote New England folktale.
Right.
Yeah. So
tell us about The Witch, Vavitch.
All right. Well, let's read the IMDb synopsis. I'll read the IMDb synopsis. A family in 1930s. No, not 1930s. Sorry. 1630s. New England is torn apart by the forces of witchcraft, black magic, and possession. I will start off by saying this.
Mm-hmm.
I admit that I have put off movies by judging books by their cover for no reason. Apparently for no reason. All of the movies that you have assigned me so far, I have put off because I have prematurely judged them. But all of the movies that you've assigned me, I have basically given a 5-star rating to or a 4-star rating to, because I get to the end of the movie and I'm like, this was actually a really good movie. I 100% felt the exact same way about The Witch. This
Oh,
was
good.
this was a 5-star movie across the board.
Yeah.
5 stars across the board. I loved every bit of this movie. And I don't entirely know why I doubted it. It's an A24 movie, and so A24 just they have the secret sauce.
They have a better track record for sure.
They have the secret sauce. Sure, they're, prone to their swing and misses like The Lamb. That's a garbage movie. Okay? And I will not back down from that. Okay?
Agreed.
I'm etching that one in stone. You're never going to change my mind. Unlike you've seen those people, like the memes where the person sets up like at a college campus, like a table, and out front it says, "Here's the strong opinion, convince me otherwise."
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do that. I don't want to hear what your stupid opinions are. No one will ever convince me that The Lamb is well, Zach, it was a decent movie no, be quiet. You're wrong. Also, I'm just kidding. Don't come at me in the
one
comments.
thing I like about you is you're so open-minded.
Completely. And I make I don't draw lines in the sand.
No.
That's one of the things that I also love about myself. Just that I don't draw lines in the sand. With
exactly
incredibly outlandishly, unwarranted, bold claims. Yeah. Okay. So let's go through this.
Okay.
The Witch starts off with a scene that really resonated with me. Was the Puritan religious council, and this family is being excommunicated basically because they are not preaching, quote unquote, the right Jesus. And so they get banished from the Puritan community that they are a part of, and they set off into the wilderness basically to start a new life. They're at least striking out on their own. So it's probably worth noting that the Puritans were the perfecters of the phrase "stick up your butt." And so I think, and I say they weren't the inventors of it. Humans have been doing this stick up their butt mentality for quite some time.
They really refined it, though.
But I think the Puritans freaking perfected it. And so if you see anybody with the stick up their butt, especially religious people, Puritan culture, bro. That's the deal. It's Puritan culture. Anyway, that's a joke and also a slam on you Puritans. I'm just kidding. And so this family is not being kicked out because of their quote unquote Quakerness or liberalness. Right. They are being kicked out because they are too stick up their butt for the stick up their butt people. So
it's hard to imagine.
It's too much. It's too many sticks. It's too many sticks, Steve. So the isolation, and I think the religious fervor that they have causes them to go a little cuckoo bananas. Basically, one day, the eldest daughter, Thomason, tries to help out the family by watching the newborn son, and she's out in the quote-unquote backyard playing peekaboo.
Peekaboo, yeah.
Right? Just an innocent peekaboo. You've probably seen this in the movie trailer, and the son is, what is his name? What's the youngest son's name?
The baby? Samuel.
The baby. Samuel, yes. Samuel is taken by a witch in the woods, and they don't hide that. I think that it's maybe kind of a blink and you miss it kind of thing, but the camera does pan to the edge of the woods, and you do see this figure this womanly figure going off with the baby. And the next scene, and by the way, this is like 6 minutes into the movie, so this is very, very quick. Yeah. And so when somebody called this movie, I saw a review that called this movie a slow burn, and I was like, slow burn, freaking 6 minutes into this movie, they're
Baby disappeared.
cutting up a baby.
Yeah, you
So,
don't see the actual cutting up of the baby.
well, no one told me that, and I paused it immediately and sent you a text message and was like, Steven, what the heck are you doing by assigning me a torture movie? They're killing a baby. I did not sign up for this.
I think one of the things I responded with is, well, it's just one baby. I mean,
Yeah, and I was like, oh yeah, that might be the worst text I've ever received. So yeah, I don't know if I had a response to that. I think I was just so shocked that happened. So yeah, I'm sitting there watching the movie. That happens, and you don't see it. You're right. You don't see obviously child violence. You do see a mortar and pestle,
mm-hmm.
and she's freaking mortaring and pestling a child.
Yeah.
She's making baby guacamole, and it's gross, Steve. It's gross. And then she takes this stuff, the baby goop. I can't make this crap up. And she is spreading it on her body and laying down in the woods. And
then she flies.
Steve, but should she? What should
Okay,
she?
you know, you want to hear something interesting? You know who made that up? The Puritans.
Yeah, this is a New England folklore. So, which means that somebody made up this story to scare children. Like that's
the writer said he actually researched actual folklore from the Puritan times and cobbled together a story.
Well, they said there was a like a paragraph at the end of the movie that said that they basically pieced together several different stories, and the script for the movie was pulled from those stories.
Right. And
so
that was one of the things that the Puritans believed, that they would smush up babies and smear it on themselves so they could fly. And that's just insane.
That's just insane. So,
sorry, I'll stop interrupting you.
No. It's perfectly fine. We're still 10 minutes into the movie, and we're only 10 minutes into the movie with this description. So, it's probably not necessarily as violent as I'm making it out to be. I am being very hyperbolic with my language.
Yeah.
But it did catch me off guard in a very visceral way.
Yep.
Because again, they set this up in the trailer. They set this baby thievery up in the trailer. The baby disappearance up in the trailer. I just didn't expect the next scene. I expected it to be left up to the viewer's imagination about what happened.
Yeah.
Or them explain it by like, we've looked for the kid, but we can't find it, so we're just presuming that it's dead and that it's witchcraft and blah blah blah. But when they showed it, I was not prepared for that. So anyway, because it is the 1630s, the daughter immediately is blamed for witchcraft, and who is blaming her for witchcraft but her young twin siblings? And who believes the young twin siblings over the eldest daughter? The parents, because why wouldn't they?
Right.
Why? Because when you hear the word witchcraft in the 1630s, you immediately, no matter what the source is, there's no vetting process. There's no, let's run it up the flagpole and let's ask a couple of people. There is immediate judgment and immediate, because this is a trigger word in the 1630s. And so, basically that fractures the family almost immediately. The mom stays up for days crying and admits later on that her heart is incredibly hard. And Thomason, though, is a real champ about it. She knows that she's not a witch. And all along, the middle children, the twin middle children, are playing with the black goat, which I immediately knew was Satan. Okay, immediately. There's a black
Black
goat.
Phillip.
There's a there's a black goat in this movie, and because of the religious tone of the movie, I was like, Satan immediately.
Yep.
And also, just my biblical upbringing. And so, so the younger kids call him Black Phillip, and you find out later that Black Phillip has been whispering to the children, and so that's why they call Thomason a witch. They, are trying to blame somebody else and throw the scent off, take the scent off of them. And there are some other strange occurrences and other paranormal figures that kind of show up that kind of blur the lines between reality and witchcraft. And again, the family continues to fracture. Black Phillip kills the dad. Well, I think Black Phillip first kills the twins because the dad locks literally all of the kids and Black Phillip in the barn.
Yeah, with
and
the other
by
with
locks,
the other
he
goats.
boards them up.
Yeah.
And he's like, just if you can make it through the night, we'll talk in the morning. And I'm like, that's terrible parenting. So
dad, boy.
Yeah. But again, he's completely sold out. They're completely sold out for Jesus. And so their oldest son goes missing and return. She's Hansel and Gretel basically to the witch, and the witch, I don't even know what she does. She kisses him at least, and then you don't see what else happens, but he gets returned and then goes into the sweet, sweet arms of Jesus and dies. And then
dies horribly.
He basically, that's why I lightened the load by saying he goes into the sweet, sweet arms of Jesus. And because he basically hallucinates, and he's clearly fighting off possession because he's still like praying the Lord's Prayer, and the witch basically kills him. And so now there's two kids that are dead. The youngest, newborn, and the oldest boy are dead. That's when Dad locks the kids and Black Phillip, the goat, in the barn. Then Mom gets basically tricked, possessed by her son, or her two boys, the newborn and what's his name? Caleb, appear to her and basically bewitch her and prey upon her grief. So she kind of sells her soul to the devil. You find out a little bit later. And because the quote unquote book appears before her, and she sells her soul to the devil in order to see her children again. So Black Phillip kills the twins. Then Thomason survives. And I think the dad and Thomason are now like the only, I'm going to say the word sane, despite the fact that no one in this movie is really sane.
Yeah.
They're the only ones left, at least. So they're like, hey, we're going to go. I think the dad makes the plan, hey, if you can basically survive the night, we'll leave in the morning and try to find a way to go back to the Puritan community and explain everything. Black Phillip sneaks up out of freaking nowhere and stabs Dad in the gullet and kills him. And I don't know how a goat sneaks up on you, but this movie found a way to make that happen. I guess if you're the devil, you can sneak up on people. I don't know. And so the dad dies. Mom basically freaks out on Thomason, and Thomason kills her mom, and which kind of was a pretty heartbreaking scene. Like, you put yourself in Thomason's shoes and you're like, oh man, she's the only pure one at this point. Everybody else's mind has basically fractured, or their souls have been sold to the devil. So the fact that she has to kill her mom, or she just watched her dad die, and literally mom comes out of the house and she has to kill her mom, that's no good. I think at that point she's
the only one left alive.
She's the only one left alive, and instead of being the final girl and just freaking getting out of there, she goes and tries to talk to Black Phillip.
I mean, why wouldn't
I
you?
think probably to see. I mean, at the end of the day, some curiosities kill the cat. Okay, let's just say that.
Right.
This is one of those curiosities. If you find yourself, here's a PSA, okay? If you find yourself in the woods and a black goat appears, one of two things need to happen. Maybe it's a part 1 and part 2. Maybe it's just a 2-step process. First, kill the goat. Okay? And then 2, get in your car and drive away. Don't pack up anything. Just leave it. Oh, but I left my phone. I don't care. Leave your tent. Leave your camper. Just go. Because a black goat is the devil. Okay? All black goats since the 1630s have just been the devil. And yeah. So, yeah, Thomason basically goes to Black Phillip, the goat, and is like, I want you to speak to me. If this is true, I want you to speak to me. And you actually hear, which that was the best scene in the movie. The best scene in the movie was when Thomason is talking with the goat, which is, again, pause for a crazy sentence alert. Yeah, you hear Thomason talk to the goat, and the goat, the devil, basically talks back and promises Thomason if she will sell her soul. The devil promises Thomason a life of luxury and lavishness and all of this stuff. And Thomason's like, well, I have nothing left. My mom and dad and all of my siblings are dead. And through complete and total witchcraft. And I guess
I love what Black Phillip says. He's like, wouldst thou like to live deliciously?
Yeah, that was a great line. So I did have subtitles on the entire movie because no one speaks that language.
Right.
And just, I felt like I was reading out of the King James Bible the entire time, which, depending on who you talk to, is either the best translation or the worst translation of the Bible. And I have spoken to both people. In my 36 years here, I have spoken to both types of people. Anyway, she traipses off into the woods to this witch Sabbath or this ritual or whatever they're doing, and they're just howling at a fire and dancing weird, if you want to call it that. And then everybody flies off into the sunset or the moonlight. Literally, everybody takes flight. And then the movie's over. And so I weirdly enjoyed this movie, despite me slightly ridiculing it for the last however long I've been talking. Yeah, I enjoyed this movie a lot. Yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I've seen it maybe 4 times now, and I pick up on new stuff, and I like how, obviously, religious stuff. I see a lot of corollary between like my past being in a pretty extremely conservative part of Christianity for my whole life, and that sense of, or the not the sense, but the real the accurate portrayal of how, when you are extremely, extremely, extremely carving yourself out and being really conservative and we are so much better, we are so different than everybody else. It can drive people to come back around the other side. It's like so much control. It drives some people to go to rebel. I get that's the word I'm looking for. To rebel in a pretty strong way. And she she doesn't do anything to her family. She's not devious. She's not trying to destroy her family, but the witch is definitely destroying her family.
Mm-hmm.
And they wouldn't be in that situation if the dad wasn't so stinking conservative and holier than thou to get kicked out of the group.
Yeah.
Because 1630 is still very early on in the white man's journey in America.
Mm-hmm.
And they haven't figured out how to live in this land by themselves. And so if being outside of that group is pretty dangerous.
Right.
So when they're kicked out, it's kind of a death sentence for the whole family.
Right.
And
yeah, I mean, the crops are dying, and it's all
Right.
because of witchcraft.
Right.
Like the land is just plagued, but you might also read that these are consequences for their actions, like not just the
Right.
banishment, but everything that happened to them.
Right.
Might have a logical reason for happening, but I think Thomason actually, when she's yelling at her dad, because he's not a farmer.
Right.
Like, she basically calls out the fact that he's this worthless person who can only chop wood.
100%.
Is the slam. Like, your only purpose is that you're good at cutting wood with an axe.
Right.
So the reason the crops are dying, it might not necessarily be because of witchcraft. It is in their mind because they start with good and evil. They start with that logic that Jesus is for us, the devil is against us. So everything bad that comes their way is because of the devil. Now, I don't necessarily know. I mean, the witch did play a pretty integral part in the entire process. But yeah, I mean, their religious fervor got them kicked out of the community, and instead of apologizing, instead of agreeing with the governor and staying in this safe community, the dad is like, nope, I'm right, you're wrong,
Yeah.
we'll take the punishment. And the consequences are they literally left the community.
Yeah.
They left the church. They left safety of the religious community. Because outside of the religious community is the devil, is the world, is sin, is Satan. And because of pride, the dad's pride, his family died. And so, there were many layers to this movie, which is part of the reason why I give it 5 stars, because it wasn't just one thing. There was a bit of subjectivity to me watching this movie personally.
Yeah.
Personal. I know that that's kind of redundant saying personal subjectivity, but it because of the religious overtones of the movie, it struck a chord with me, and I thought that it was fantastic.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting how you could see that everything in that movie, like literally everything, could have been just no witch involved at all.
Right.
Like you were saying. And which kind of makes the evil in the movie possibly the extremist religion of the dad.
Right.
Yeah,
that's why I said you mix isolation, so it's quote unquote reverse cabin fever.
Right.
Because they're not in a cabin, they're out in the world, but the isolation causes them to be a little kooky. You mix that with the overt religious fervor that they have, and so the reason the crops are dying might not be because of the devil. It's not because of Black Phillip or the witch. The reason the crops are dying is because Dad's a bad farmer.
Yeah, 100%.
Dad's only good at chopping wood. He's not good at growing corn.
No.
And so the reason they have to go hunting is because dad's a bad farmer. And the reason Caleb dies is because dad's a bad farmer and they have to go hunting. And Caleb wants to listen to his dad because children obey your parents in the Lord because it is right. And so Caleb goes off into the woods to find the trap that they set for the squirrel or the animal that they have to kill or they have to eat. And he gets lost and gets captured by the witch and dies.
Mhm.
So, like, it's all consequential. There is both a logical and a religious reason for, and it's just a matter of perspective and how you look at it. So, again, 5 stars across the board because of that. Also, kudos to people in the 1600s for coming up with stories like this. Holy cow. I mean, if this isn't a testament to what you can do without an iPad, I mean, just without screen time, just get away from screens, people, and go out in the woods. Again, stay away from black goats. They're the devil. But you can come up with some crazy things if you just will simply abandon the internet and live off the grid. Maybe print out some how-tos on how to grow corn, what poison ivy looks like, things like that. You know what I mean? Because, you're going to need all of that kind of stuff. But, also don't listen to me and what I just said. So.
I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah.
All right. So for next time, Zach,
for next time,
what
Steve
movie have you picked to assign to me?
Well, as I said to you in the very beginning of the podcast, I have a bad habit of picking a movie early. I basically just pick a movie when the time comes. So, per your suggestion of going into my letterbox and going into the list that I have created for you and hitting sort by shuffle. The first movie that came up, Steve, is the award-winning classic. Dang it, I lost it. All that build-up for I lost it. All that build-up. The 2023 classic, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Yep.
Oh,
I have been holding on to that for the last hour and 50 minutes. Yep. And I knew that you would hate it from the moment, because you were like, hey man, just go into shuffle and everything will be fine. And the first movie that came up when I hit shuffle,
I have only myself to blame, was
Winnie the Pooh. Well, I mean, technically you should blame me for me putting it on your list to begin with, but
yeah,
I'll blame you anyway. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So there you go. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Good luck with that one. And
thanks for the well wishes.
Well, I think the reviews kind of speak for themselves.
Well, I've got all week to get through it,
Yeah. Just parcel it out, 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there.
Okay, well, I did the same thing. I shuffled the list that I've got for you. And
all right,
you coincidentally get another Anya Taylor-Joy movie.
All right.
Last Night in Soho.
Ooh, okay.
It's a Edgar Wright movie. I don't know if you're familiar. He's did Scott Pilgrim, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz.
Oh, I love all those movies.
Yeah. Baby Driver. I haven't seen Baby Driver. But...
Brad actually told me, shout out Brad, by the way. I know you're listening. Hey, shout out Brad, just in case I haven't shouted him out anyway. And also, shout out the Settlers of Satan. I know all three of you are listening. Tim, Shelby, Brad, I know y'all are listening. Shout out. Edgar Wright, The Last Night in Soho.
Yep.
All right. 3.4 in the letterbox and 5 stars by Steve. Oh, okay. Well, This is going to be a crazy spectrum then. I probably got a fantastic movie and you got a movie that is officially on my smoking hot turds list.
See, what I'm discovering from the choices that you're making is I'm discovering that I don't think you like me. No, maybe it's not that. I think you're more devious than I realized. I'll put it that way.
Well, that's definitely a nice way of putting it. You could have chosen many different ways to describe. Yeah, I definitely am, Steve. The more you will get to know me, the more devious you will see.
I also found a Black Phillip shirt online that we need to get you. Just texted it to you.
I don't want that shirt. Not even a little bit do I want that shirt.
It looks like an old Disney or Looney Tunes.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, sell your soul and get the T-shirt. No, screw you, Steve. I don't want that T-shirt. That T-shirt had better not show up at my house. Don't you?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I will deny that package, man. I'm going to pray to Jesus and get that off my house. No way. No way.
All right. Well, I will do my best to watch that film. I'll do it. I'm going to do it. I believe in myself.
Yes. You can believe in yourself. Oh, I believe in you too, Steve. Just for solidarity and yeah. But also, let's just blame Letterboxd for this. It's their problem for creating a shuffle feature. But also, we love you. Shout out Letterboxd. We'll just shout them out. We love you, Letterboxd.
Good luck this week with your watching of things.
And you too.
Thanks. I'll talk to you next time.
All right, guys.